The pace of consumer inflation is under the spotlight today. Stats SA data shows that December consumer price inflation rose to 5.2% year-on-year. That's compared to 4.8% in November. The data shows that consumer inflation averaged at 4.6% last year.
The latest December print is in line with market expectations, and going forward it's anticipated that price increases will accelerate quickly.
We think from current levels, headline inflation is probably going to increase to above 7% before the end of the year. Within that, it will be very important to monitor food inflation. So within these numbers, we've already started seeing an increase. We think that food inflation is going to reach double-digit levels reasonably quickly towards the middle of this year.
The weaker rand, which makes imports more expensive, and a scarce supply of maize are expected to be the main drivers of inflation in 2016. Agricultural bodies say the country needs to import about 5 million tonnes of maize this year.
Typically, there's a delay of up to 6 or 9 months before you see the maximum impact of any rand adjustment on the inflation numbers. So this is really just still showing last year's rand weakness. It isn't showing any of the rand weakness since the end of last year, so from December onwards. The second factor is, of course, food inflation. We've started seeing an increase. It is going to get much worse very quickly over the next couple of months, in our view. The only positive factor at this stage is, of course, that petrol prices have been moving sideways, and so at least you don't get an additional inflationary pressure from that.
Next week, the Reserve Bank will make a call on interest rates.
The SARB will definitely have to hike interest rates. The only question is whether they continue with 0.25% at a time or whether they revert to the pre-crisis norm of 50 basis points at a time. And clearly the risk of more than 25 basis points have definitely increased.
The higher inflation interest rate scenario doesn't bode well for the consumer. With the possibility of higher Eskom tariffs and an expected increase in petrol prices, consumers will need to fasten their financial seatbelts. Nompumelelo Siziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.